Today our topic is corporate social responsibility, known as CSR. Corporate responsibility requires an organization to deliver its business outcomes whilst enhancing its social, economic, and environmental impact with regard to the legacy it leaves behind for future generations. This drive towards more responsible business practice and the impact of business activity spans business standards including corporate governance and organizational culture, social, environmental, and animal welfare standards. Since CIPS published its first paper on this subject in 2007, the corporate responsibility agenda has moved center stage. Increasing transparency, environmental concerns, and the social and economic effect of global trade have highlighted the risk and vulnerability of supply chains, as well as the positive social, economic, and environmental change that suppliers and supply chains can bring. In developing a more responsible approach to business, each organization will have its own unique set of challenges, thinking strategically about its own development, social, economic, and environmental impact, and how it will embed the change that is needed for its ambitions to be realized. Each organization will recognize that some aspects of its thinking and knowledge will be more advanced than others, and that the sentiment of customers, markets, and investors is fluid, with national priorities set against common global challenges. As we have seen recently, issues such as the impact of plastic waste, carbon reduction, workplace diversity, and social justice have rapidly come to the fore in the public's mind. While the terms corporate responsibility and responsible business are widely used in the private sector, other organizations may refer to sustainability or social value either separately or as part of their corporate responsibility or responsible business initiatives. These concepts share the same objectives: to improve social, economic, and environmental impacts. Sustainability introduces the concept of living or operating within our means to protect the interest of future generations. Sustainability focuses on how the use and exploitation of natural resources can be reduced, especially non-renewable sources. It also looks at how social and economic outcomes can be improved over the long term, for example, by promoting fair employment practices, skills, and training, or creating opportunities for minority-owned or small businesses. Whether in the public or private sector, implementing more sustainable practices, maximizing social value through the procurement process, or driving more responsible business practices present similar challenges. Corporate social responsibility, CSR, is the concept that businesses have an obligation to contribute positively to society and the environment, beyond their legal and financial obligations. CSR involves companies integrating ethical, social, and environmental concerns into their operations and decision-making processes, aiming to improve the well-being of communities, stakeholders, and the planet while maintaining profitability. In short, CSR is a business model in which companies consider the broader impact of their activities and take voluntary actions that benefit society, the environment, and their stakeholders. This definition is widely used today. In 2006, the UK Sustainable Procurement Task Force defined sustainable procurement as a process whereby organizations meet their needs for goods, services, works and utilities in a way that achieves value for money on a whole life basis in terms of generating benefits not only to the organization, but also to society and the economy, whilst minimizing damage to the environment. Gov.uk, 2021. As per the CIPS, corporate responsibility is being held to account by all stakeholders to act ethically and to deliver positive social, economic and environmental outcomes not just now but with regard to the legacy created for future generations. Responsible procurement is therefore the process of acquiring goods, works and services that has ethical practice and good governance at its core and takes full account of social, economic, and environmental factors in its decision-making. CSR involves a wide range of initiatives, from ethical labor practices to environmental sustainability, and can help improve a company's reputation, build customer loyalty, and support long-term profitability. CSR activities typically fall into several key categories, which are: Number 1. Environmental responsibility. Companies implement practices that reduce their environmental footprint, such as reducing waste, conserving water, using sustainable materials, and minimizing carbon emissions. Number 2. Social responsibility. Businesses engage in activities that benefit society, such as supporting local communities, promoting diversity and inclusion, and ensuring fair treatment of employees. Number 3. Ethical business practices. Companies may focus on ethical sourcing, fair trade, and transparency in their operations. This can also include maintaining high standards of honesty in advertising and dealing with customers. Number 4. Philanthropy. Many companies engage in charitable donations or community outreach programs. This could include financial support for nonprofits, volunteering, or other forms of social impact. Number 5. Employee welfare. Ensuring a safe, healthy, and fair workplace, offering good wages, benefits, and opportunities for career development. While becoming a more responsible business is a wide-ranging subject, the scope and the impact we can make in terms of procurement and supply chain is clear. The path to responsible business covers the following 4 areas. Number 1. Business standards and behavior. Number 2. Social standards. Number 3. Environmental standards. Number 4. Animal welfare standards. Now we will discuss these standards in brief. The first, business standards and behavior. Corporate governance, culture, equality, diversity and inclusion, management competency, organizational structure, the effectiveness of controls and management systems, business sustainability. Ethical practices, personal conduct, conflict of interests, disclosure of sensitive or confidential information, misrepresentation, payment of incentives or inducements, giving or receiving gifts or hospitality. Legal compliance, the law, contractual obligations. Abuse of power, dominance of relationships, potential distortion of the market or competition. Competitiveness, collusion, diminution of free/fair competition, free access to markets. Supplier diversity, policies relating to supply market diversity or diversity reduction, explicit or implicit bias against particular types or size of enterprise. Fair dealings, fulfillment of contractual obligations, for example, paying on time. Second is social standards, which are employment conditions, level of pay, working hours, treatment of employees under 18 years, freedom of association, use of bonded labor, protection from harassment, contractual terms of employment. Health and safety, working environment, safety at work, training and protection of employees, reporting and control systems. Discrimination, bias in terms of age, religious belief, sexual orientation, gender, race, or disability. Equality, diversity and inclusion, valuing everyone in the organization as an individual, where everyone feels able to fully participate and has access to achieve their full potential. Third, environmental standards, which are environmental impact, waste products, loss of biodiversity, natural habitat and ecosystems, the use of DNA-modified species. Climate change, energy use, carbon emissions, other greenhouse gas emissions, GHGs, life cycle carbon intensity, embedded carbon. Depletion of natural resources, consumption of fresh water, use of oil or chemicals derived from oil, resources that are being used faster than the natural process of replenishment, such as fish stocks, deforestation. Hazardous substances, use or production of dangerous or hazardous substances. And the fourth is animal welfare standards, which are living conditions, the husbandry and welfare of animals, including how they are housed, fed, managed, transported, and ultimately prepared for use. Behavioral deprivation, preventing behavior typical of species in their natural environment. Inhumane treatment, purpose or action that may cause distress or injury, such as animal testing. Framing the organizational response. as well as creating a shared understanding of what responsible business means and what aspects are most important. Each organization has to consider what changes are necessary and how it will embed them. There are 3 areas to consider: operations, including management and staff behaviors and culture; employment practices, the environmental impact of its operations, health and safety practices, and management monitoring and control systems; customers and suppliers, and the supply chains they operate within. The life cycle impact of the products and services they buy and/or produce, for example, how products are designed for repair rather than disposal. In framing its response, each organization needs to establish a set of key principles that will help guide those involved with implementation. These principles are shaped by factors including practical considerations, the character and culture of the organization, its market position, and its broader business objectives. These key principles typically include: Number 1, responsible business, how the concept of responsible business fits with the organization's broader strategic objectives and goals. Number 2, local law, whether the organization should go beyond the minimum requirement of the law and local standards in each market they are buying from or selling to. Number 3, work proactively, how far the organization should work proactively to deliver positive social, economic, and environmental improvement beyond the scope of its direct operations, for example, by sponsoring local community initiatives or by working collaboratively with other peer group organizations to influence policy or market behavior. Number 4, take corrective actions, whether the organization should take action to correct any embedded distortions or bias, for example, by promoting the interests of underrepresented groups. Number 5, organization approach, whether the organization should adopt a defensive approach by prioritizing its risks and maintaining parity with market norms and the expectations of its customers. Number 6, standards, whether the organization should adopt the same standards in its own business as those it applies to its suppliers and customers. Number 7, prioritizing relevance, prioritizing those aspects that are of particular relevance or concern to the organization and what priority it gives to assessing and managing their impact. In developing these principles and others, each organization frames its response to its unique responsible business challenges. However, every change program will have significant internal as well as external dimensions, and require intensive cross-functional coordination. These choices will significantly impact business priorities and determine how responsible business translates into a coherent responsible procurement strategy implemented by the organization's procurement and supply chain professionals. For successful application, the following steps should be followed. Establish a professional leadership position on social, economic, and environmental issues and the promotion of responsible business practices. Ensure all professionals complete the ethics test. Adopt a code of ethics behavior and apply this across the procurement function and all of those involved in the wider sourcing process. Establish priorities based on the social, economic, or environmental risk, or improvement opportunity, of the products and services they buy rather than expenditure alone. Improve awareness and performance by establishing a minimum set of standards they expect to see adopted by suppliers. Champion easy-to-do business with policies in their organizations, acting as the voice of the supplier. Ensure that policies and processes do not inadvertently disadvantage smaller suppliers or those representing minority interests or sectors. Examine sourcing strategies and supplier reduction targets to see if they discourage diversity in the wider marketplace or exclude potentially advantageous smaller suppliers. Ensure that social, economic, and environmental improvement is incorporated into every tender or quotation and influences the selection of new suppliers. Ensure all tender documents require suppliers to demonstrate how they promote equality, diversity, and inclusion in the workplace. Improve the standard and consistency of relationship management by segmenting suppliers carefully so that the level of engagement and interaction is consistent and appropriate to the nature and complexity of the relationship. Adopt a more rigorous assessment of corporate governance and compliance issues before suppliers are selected, and implement effective monitoring after contracts have been awarded. Provide whistleblowing mechanisms so that any abuse of social, economic, or environmental standards in the supply chain can be reported. In conclusion, enhancing corporate responsibility through procurement is essential for businesses aiming to align their operations with ethical, social, and environmental values. Procurement professionals play a pivotal role in shaping supply chain practices that not only drive organizational success but also contribute to broader societal goals. By integrating sustainable sourcing, ethical supplier selection, and transparent practices, companies can mitigate risks, foster long-term value, and improve their reputational standing. Corporate responsibility in procurement goes beyond compliance with regulations. It reflects a commitment to fairness, inclusivity, and environmental stewardship. Through proactive supplier engagement, adopting circular economy principles, and ensuring fair labor practices, procurement teams can influence the entire supply chain towards more responsible practices. Moreover, aligning procurement strategies with global standards and frameworks like the UN Sustainable Development Goals offers a clear roadmap for businesses striving to achieve meaningful, positive change. Ultimately, responsible procurement is not just a business necessity but a powerful tool for achieving sustainable growth, creating a more equitable marketplace, and driving systemic change within industries and communities. As procurement professionals continue to innovate and prioritize ethical considerations, they help shape the future of corporate responsibility and sustainability. I hope you enjoyed this video, and before leaving, if you have not already subscribed this channel, make sure to subscribe, like and hit the bell icon to get updates when I post new videos. Provide your feedback in comments. You can download material from the below links under video.